This save has been something I've been working on for literally years now, and I think we're literally just passing 3 years because I started it in April 2023, and I've really adored working on my medieval save. It started as an Ultimate Decades challenge save, but because I had a lost one save due to corruption and another save due to just, not switching things over well when I got a new PC, I, lost 2 challenges that I was already pretty far into. So at the time, I wasn't really willing to start the Ultimate Decades Challenge again, but I knew eventually I'd want to play with it, so I decided just to make a ton of sims, make a ton of buildings, and, just really go all out. I think literally everything with the exception of maybe a park in this world, I have built from scratch. Some things are still a work in progress. Like I said, this is kind of a forever save now, and I have just gone absolutely bananas with it. Like, this is just one little neighborhood in Windenburg. But I did want to go ahead and show you some fun things that I have been working on, some creative ideas, just kind of like an update, because a lot of you are following my Medieval 100 Baby Challenge, which was kind of made to populate this save. So we are currently in the Lee household, and I had kind of hoped that with the apothecary system that was introduced with Enchanted by Nature, that I would be able to fully realize the direction that I wanted to go with this family, which was basically using traditional Chinese medicine to heal. The apothecary system really wasn't in depth enough to be interesting to make a whole family gameplay with. So what I ended up doing was looking for not only vet CC and finding a few creative solutions for some things that don't have conversions, and then also a mod that lets me do like a live-in business, so I could go ahead and open the vet clinic here, and eventually Sims will start spawning. Very, very cool. And you can actually treat their pets. You can see I also fixed chairs up here, so that's unfortunate. Why don't you go ahead and also make some food. I also wanted this to be a rotational save, so there is going to be kind of different things that family members households are doing that are specific, and some of them are fully fleshed out, like the Lee family here. Oh my goodness, you little stinker, Wei Tao. Some of them are fully fleshed out, like the Lee family here. Not all of them are, though, so I also needed to kind of come up with a complex tracking system, and that's still a work in progress, but I will show you guys the work I've done for that later. Yeah, but basically I wanted to kind of work on a lot of different things. Oh my gosh, these chairs are bugging me so bad in the background. And I really wanted to feel like every household mattered. So like the Lees here are, mostly focused on the veterinary career, and I can see that being generational gameplay with some imposed restrictions on myself. Like, I can't open a vet clinic unless they can afford it themselves, and most of my families are pretty poor, or they're going to be pretty poor, even though their homes are fully decked out. And then I was going to implement my own tax system at some point. But yeah, basically it's going to be very difficult to make money, and the Sims are going to have to work for them. Oh, I think I can have Sims come up into my house. That's bizarre. I should fix that. Yeah, I wanted to, do businesses. I think there was a lot of times where we were kind of burned by packs coming out too. For example, I can name For Rent exactly as, kind of ruining a lot of people's hopes. I think we all had really high expectations of kind of making like little villages and communities, especially on really large lots, and that didn't work out. So another thing I've been doing is just kind of testing, and what has worked really well for me is the businesses and hobbies pack. So that's pretty exciting as well. But yeah, like I said, the live-in business, some of them that I really wanted to do was like the veterinary one here. And you can actually do the exam here, which is super, super cool. I don't have any overrides, unfortunately, for like little doodadders like that, but it's what it is. And he can actually take care of the animals here, and that's just so cool. I really like that. And then I had to find a creative solution. So most of this is debug. And then the actual item she's using is like all the way down here, made to be super small. So like you can still see it. It still makes some of the effects and stuff, but it's not so immersion breaking that I wouldn't be willing to use it, you know? So that was a cool solution that I found to kind of work on things. And then, oh, my goats are getting on in years. That's kind of another thing too that I'll go over with the animals is there's like a whole thing because I want to play rotationally, and the animals and the gardening for every single household would get pretty boring. So I wanted to create a workaround for that was more entertaining for me over time. Oops, it seems that my medieval map override is not in here, so I will have to work on that. But yeah, like I said, this was just one little neighborhood of Windenburg. You know, there's a library, a gym that's almost finished. We've got a community, town square kind of space. We have what is supposed to be kind of like a bathhouse, though I may rework this into something else because, well, it doesn't really look like it belongs here anymore because they've changed so many buildings around, but also it didn't really work very well as a bathhouse, so I wanted to go ahead and show you guys the actual bathhouse that works pretty well. So some of you may actually recognize this house. It is actually my medieval 100 baby house redone, more or less. I wanted to go ahead and make it so that my Sims, why are you going all the way over here to do dishes? There's a perfectly good sink elsewhere. But yeah, I wanted to rework it so that it was good for basically a medieval bathhouse, but I kind of wanted to go over a few things in this build as well. So we have the actual house over here where the Sims who live on this lot are supposed to be, and I decided that like the lore for this household was that Giselle family basically iced her out of the family business, which of course would have been really difficult at the time because, you know, she's already not considered wealthy, and then, you know, because she would be considered more of like the merchant class at the time, and then, you know, as a woman, you know, a lot of the time they weren't allowed to just go out and do things that they wanted like that. So there would have been issues with that. Anyways, so she was iced out more or less because she never wanted to marry, and then eventually her parents passed and they didn't have any other children. So the estate went to Giselle, and she decided to take in to a young woman who also had nowhere else to go. So we have the ever so lovely Adela Lancaster here. I may change her last name, we don't know. Lots of things are still a work in progress. But I wanted to show you this really quick because she's supposed to be the performer, and there was kind of like an issue with the one medieval-ish microphone that I found where you couldn't tell jokes. And I found out that just sizing down the microphone makes it work, and it's really like not that noticeable in the grand scheme of things. So she's still like able to use it, and like I really like that. I just thought it was so funny. Yeah, but the bathhouse, basically, Adela here is the performer, Alyssa here is the barmaid, and so she does a lot of the basically tavern-esque styles. Basically, if you didn't know, bathhouses were kind of like places that were taverns, obviously a place to get a bath, but it was also where a lot of like medical-ish stuff was done. I say medical-ish because it's, you know, medieval times, but I decided to incorporate that for Giselle in the form of using the massage table, and I was a little worried about this one because spa day is notoriously awful, but it actually did work. When I did some playtesting, she was able to make a decent chunk of money from it and whatnot. And then of course we have the baths, and these are actually a nightmare to maintain, by the way. They make such a mess with the water and whatnot, so yeah, definitely have to work on that. So Adela ends up kind of being like the performer slash housekeeper, and then Alyssa here is more of the barmaid. Sometimes Sims sit here and order drinks. And I found this to work a lot better than, having like a super massive community lot. I think I have autonomy turned off. Medieval bathhouses were kind of a place where, you could get medical treatments that were kind of like iffy. It's kind of like the same thing as going to like an alleyway doctor, a back alley doctor, in like the 50s. Was kind of that vibe. There's a setting that I have on that I shouldn't have on for my reshade. Total hot mess that this showcase is, as always. Yeah, it was edge smoothing. Okay. I'm glad we got that fixed because that looked dumb. But yeah, fix that. She's complaining because it's dirty up here. It's kind of her fault. She's the one who made it dirty up here. But whatever. Oh, she's enraged. That's another thing is I also use like MCC to change a lot of the settings. So emotional deaths aren't really a thing anymore. And the reason for that is I want to go ahead and use the 100 more traits by, I believe, Chingu. And when I used that last time, basically my Sims would immediately become like hysterical and enraged and all those things and die in like -2 seconds. They're so upset with how dirty it is up here. I'm trying. Oh my goodness, too funny. Yeah, but you can see that, money does come in. It's a lot of work. It's tedious and slow at times, but, a lot of things to get done. Another thing that I wanted to do is I got this idea from Cosmic Hippie. So just to get them full credit for that, but the bathroom situation is a little bit of a mess on this lot too. The only toilet this household has is not a toilet at all. It's actually this haystack that works like the pee-pee bushes. So we have this only, and then they would need to get their handiness skill up in order to make bathrooms. So I actually have a carpenter family that I might have do that, and they can open their own small business and where they sell those kinds of items. That way, not everybody's working on their handiness skill. But I thought that would be really fun and a challenge because it's not exactly comfortable, right? It's going to cause issues and just be, chaotic, and that's so fun to me. So I really wanted to go with that. Oh, and you can see another thing is the laundry really piles up quickly here. I also don't like to skip things more or less. So the Sims do kind of have to work. Oh, and she's giving a massage on her own. Yes. Okay, so it does work, by the way, if you guys were ever wondering. It does work. It takes time. They do have to stand there for a while, so it makes the gameplay pretty hard. So, like, yes, they're earning money, but it's difficult. So, like, the business can't always be open, especially when it comes to, like, the cleanliness, like the laundry and stuff, because, like, right now it's raining, right? So they could run into issues with that. Another thing that I might do is make the skills a lot slower to earn. I find that a lot of the time when I'm doing like rotational gameplay, I'm not really in a rush to breeze through things, and it can get kind of boring to work on these skills. I love your pink tips. Totally not immersion breaking in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, but basically oh gosh, now I've forgotten what I was talking about because I got distracted by him. Oh yeah, basically that I use MCC to change a lot of settings, and one of the ones I think I'm going to change is the skills because they just learn stuff too fast. I feel like I kind of end up running out of things to work towards, and I like things, being an inconvenience basically is the best way to put it. But that's another reason why they have so much laundry up here is the bathhouse not only creates a ton of laundry, but it's actually like kind of medievally accurate, time period accurate, whatever. Anyways, is that people would come get their laundry done here. They would do their laundry here. One of the two. I haven't looked into it too much. But yeah, so lots of functions for this lot. And then of course, I don't know that I will have the girls be ladies of the night, but they do have plenty of space. This is Giselle's, childhood home. So basically everything that, from when she was a child is in here. So this would have been her room. Maybe her parents were hoping for more children of their own, or that Giselle would marry and have her own children, and that this would be a really full household. That just didn't work out because of Giselle's own interests, but, lots of pretty gorgeous things. It's just so stunning. I love it. Everything is pretty functional that should be functional. Of course, I've got a lot of decorations everywhere, but like, everything that's like an infant table, the computer, the toys, the bookshelf, except for the ones I've blocked off. Like you can access at least one of everything in this household. Though I don't tend to really have my Sims read on lot. It's more of just something they do for their own enjoyment, but I thought it was fitting for the merchant class at the very least to have bookshelves. I probably won't have it in like my peasant households, but yeah. I wonder if, so since Giselle's my, she's like the third matriarch in my 100 Baby Challenge, and she actually is related to, oh, I like that door in your face. And she is actually related to Beatrice. I think Beatrice is like her grandmother in the 100 Baby Challenge. So I wonder, no, okay, good. They're not still related. That was something I wanted to check, and I just like occasionally could not manage to remember. Why don't you go ahead and clean up since the lot is so dirty? I say this like we're staying here in this lot, but yeah, you get the idea of the bathhouse and the concept of it, and just all the effort that went into kind of getting the vibe together for it. So I really love this lot, and I really like how businesses and hobbies was, you know, making a lot of the things I wanted to do, which is like complex community lots or business lots, be a thing. I do know that it's a little bit wonky if you're the visiting sim to a business, but that's okay. For example, I don't think anybody would be manning the bar here. I think it would pretty much just be, you know. But yeah, I'm very happy with how things are, you know, working out with this. I need her to clean up because this bothers me. There we go. That was bothering me. Go ahead and clean up. Just make sure that everything stays nice so customers don't get upsetty spaghettied. Yeah, you know, just more and more things that I find really enjoyable, that work really well, and are actually fun, engaging gameplay. So this is something you could also do to kind of, you know, bring back a spark to maybe your save. I want to make an inspiration page on my blog that I'll show you guys, because there's a few things that'll, you know, be a part of the behind the scenes that I've done for this save. But yeah, I keep getting tongue-tied, but you would need a little Miss Sam's Live in Businesses. So that solves a lot of gripe that I had with trying to, you know, run a business, not having like a really exciting time doing that and things like that. So this is just one of my mixture of live in business / business and hobbies ideas, and I really like how it turned out. This household is pretty much ready to go, and we can start playing with them as soon as I finish some stuff that we'll go over later in this video. I keep wanting to talk about that, but it's not time yet, you know? So one of the things that I kind of mentioned earlier was basically, since I plan on doing rotational gameplay and it would be really boring to have every family manage a garden and animals, is that I actually plan to take the Shepard household here, which has like a ton of animals. That's like their jam. You might also recognize Iris because she is also from my 100 Baby Challenge. But yeah, and move them to this lot. So this community garden lot will be changed into a home. I actually do have this community garden on the gallery, and it is CC free. I know you see CC on my lot. That's just overrides, but I did upload this CC free for you guys. It is pack heavy, but CC free nonetheless. I can't manage CC free and pack light, so you know, whatever. Anyways, yeah, so there's like this building over here that can be reworked to be the house and to be very, very comfortable for the family to live in. It's quite spacious, and there's some spaces where I could make better use of the space. In the form of a house. Like right now I'm already seeing kitchen, dining, storage, potentially children like infants, living space, and then 2 bedrooms up here, and maybe further storage. I don't know what this little corner could be, but this is like a total waste of space right here. But yeah, you get the idea. So a lot that could be reworked, and then of course rework it again. Another thing that I really struggle with, and that makes me bored, and when it comes to the Ultimate Decades Challenge, is just having too much resources. So making smaller gardens so that I have to go out more often to get said resources. And then we could also fit some animals on the property as well. I of course have the rabbits and whatnot, but yeah, we would need like the goats and whatnot, and Sims can come here and work with those animals instead. I'm debating if I want to basically make this like a small business, and instead of the family having like a proper house, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. Because it still has to be the small business and stuff. But yeah, maybe this could be like a small business lot that Iris and her family own. And it could be multifunctional. That way our Sims can visit it and be able to do things. But yeah, I'm kind of showing you the lot now too, because this is basically what is available for download. Don't mind the cat box. I have a lot of animals in my save and they need somewhere to poop. And I tried shoving it in a corner where it wasn't really noticeable. That way your animal can, you know, have their needs met and whatnot, but you don't have like the immersion breaking ugly cat box. But yeah, and then there's also a tavern here. I think if I was to make this a small business, I would change this from a tavern to something else. Not entirely sure what, but it can definitely be something else that isn't a tavern because we've already done that. But I had a problem with this lot. Like I said, the lots don't always work well. The Sims don't really do much, unfortunately. Like, you can have your Sim stand here and tend this bar as a community lot and nobody will come buy anything from you, which was kind of my hope when I had made this lot, is that this could be a place where people could casually earn money and, you know, they could get their resources. Again, I planted too much resources, so I'm going to scale back greatly on what's here. That way I can kind of enjoy the gameplay a little bit more. I will be doing a massive overhaul of this lot though, but that'll take some time because clearly I have a very cluttered and chaotic build style. I forget which church it is exactly, so I'll have to put it on the screen later when I'm editing. But this was inspired by that church, and then my own creative process started taking over and just making a really chaotic build. This was supposed to be a lot that my nun and my priest lived in, but it's become too massive. I think again what I might end up doing is making it so that they live here and this is a live-in business. I'm not entirely sure what the live-in business is going to be, but I think that's going to be the better way of doing that. They could even perhaps live in this house here. That way, you know, my nun is separated from my priest and they have adequate space, and then, you know, these could be the business sections. Like this could be the place of worship for my Sims, and then, you know, maybe like a little study area. Like for, of course, it would be more in the function of a library when it comes to like the game, but you know, for religious storytelling purposes, I would of course use probably the Sims medieval versions of religion, which is like the Jacobin and Peterin. But yeah, anyways, whenever I figure out this is the one that has the more positive alignment. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But yeah, very cool. It's a very cool concept. It's not fully realized, but again, the businesses and hobbies pack working so well is quickly changing how my save works, and also giving me all these ideas, and now I need to just kind of put them into practice. I might actually upload this shell too, so since there's not really much here, and I don't think any of this is CC from what I can see, maybe these are like a CC override. I do have a few chimneys that are like a CC override. But I could easily put this up and then just load into my builds save file, and you wouldn't have the override and wouldn't be marked as CC. But yeah, I'm rambling. Oh, I should get a picture of this for my master list because I have like medieval roads in my master list, but there was no good picture for it. So again, another family that isn't particularly focused on having children. But you might recognize one of the Sims because, again, Pascal here is from my Medieval 100 Baby Challenge. He is the older version of Pascal, and he and his wife Serenity just never had children. I think canonically, in my mind, Pascal's infertile, but because he's kind of the town himbo, or at least was. Not in like a Don Lothario way, but just like he gets on so well with people. But he's a little bit of a space case, and then it's actually Serenity that was the woman that he ended up settling down with. But I figured that maybe he was infertile because of that. She's kind of my crazy cat lady, and I say that with all the love in the world because I'm one as well. But she's kind of like my crazy cat lady for my save. So she's got a lot of pets, and I kind of thought that maybe, you know, she could be the cat breeder in town. I'm still debating that just because, you know, I feel bad breeding animals like that, but you know, he is also the carpenter, so they could start a small business in which he and she, you know, work on selling items, and maybe she can just, you know, run like a little food stall kind of situation, a mix of home chef hustle and live in business, and I think that could work really nice. They do work complementary, so that's always nice, and we could have that. Maybe selling the cats and breeding them is something we can do on occasion, like maybe once a rotation or whatever. I don't know the logistics of it entirely, but you get the concept. And this family won't be focused on having a child of their own. That does not mean that they can't potentially adopt a child. I wanted to focus a lot on storytelling, and there's a couple of families where I'm like, you know, maybe if dice rolls go bad and whatnot, these families could essentially take in children that have been orphaned, and that way I don't have to have like an orphanage that's just jam-packed with children, because I won't want to play that. It'll feel too much like the 100 Baby Challenge all over again. So families that could, in some shape or form, take in a child, and we'll just do like some nice storytelling for that. But yeah, that's kind of the vibe here, is that they can't have any children of their own. I said it so that Pascal can't get Sims pregnant. Of course, they wouldn't know that. They just, you know, never were able to have a child and whatnot. And that helps me make use of like a smaller lot like this, because literally filled it to like the brim pretty much. It's not as decorated as I would like, but yeah, it is pretty much as filled as it can be. You can also get a CC-free version of this, or the shell of this build if you wanted it. I don't think it's my best build. I think it's one of my weakest builds actually, but it is on the gallery as well. This park is also something I wanted to kind of talk about. Let me fix the lighting here because it's a little dark. Yeah, I wanted to rework this park again, just kind of like one of those lots where it was like meant to be like a big community lot, and it didn't work out very well. But Adventure Awaits has come out, and that's added a lot more stuff to kind of do and just make more interesting. Oh, I have all these deco sims everywhere too. They're very cute, but sometimes it can be hard to find my actual sims. But it makes it feel so lively even while we're in build mode here. So yeah, anyways, I would probably end up like centering this or something. It's kind of meant to be like a mixture of a library and a tavern. Again, I would probably get rid of the tavern in favor of skill building items. That's another thing, is I don't like putting a lot of skill building items on my home lots, because then I feel I just stay at home all the time, and with the skills that are going to take longer to build up, that just doesn't really, you know, seem interesting. But lots of places to socialize, lots of places to study, and I think I will just expand upon studying and add some more skill building items. These sims are just so cute, aren't they? They'd be cuter if my shadows thing would get itself together. But yeah, pretty cute sims there. Oh my goodness, I love them. And then basically once I center this building, which makes more sense than centering this much smaller statue slash fountain. I actually stacked these on top of each other. They're like two different things, but these are medieval Windenburg items. But yeah, and then again, get rid of this garden. Too many resources is boring. I may just make like a pretty sitting area for my sims when they're on like a date and for pictures purposes. Expand upon the playground now that we have Adventure Awaits, and I have a better idea of how I would like to kind of do playgrounds and stuff. And then also just terrain editing. That's not something I was very good at in the time frame that I made this a lot, and as you can see from like the bathhouse, I've gotten pretty good at it. So the bathhouse was like one of my first terrain-esque builds, so it was a little bit imperfect, but I learned a lot from doing it and have since been able to do it a lot quicker. Actually, I think it's the second terrain build I did. The first one is actually a cemetery. Let's see if I can remember where that cemetery is. It actually might be in Ravenwood. Oh my gosh, I can never find anything anymore. There's too many worlds. Yeah, so Ravenwood has the very first cemetery I did. Again, this lot is CC free and it is on the gallery. However, I didn't know about the big massive debug rock. So there's all of these fountains here, but like most of the rocks are like the normal tiny rocks. So I fear on lower end PCs this might be too demanding of a lot. If you have a nicer PC, this one can work really nice for you. I probably won't rework it just because A, it works for me, and B, I don't even use it that much. It's a very massive cemetery though. Like I have all these crypts on it. This is actually a pool, and if you didn't know, you need a deck for the ladder in order for Sims to get on a pool when there's like terrain editing like this, and it's basically not on like a flat surface. It glitches out, and that's how you fix it, is you put that little deck there. So I tried making it mix in. Again, this is a pool that has like a tiny little deck that's mixed in. It's not really immersion breaking to go ahead and do that. Lots of crypts and things like that. Again, we have a tavern, and that's pretty awesome and everything, but they don't really use this, so I might actually make this part like for a wedding. I feel like that would be appropriate for the time, and maybe this could just be like turned into like a church. And then, you know, we have like a little mausoleum over here that would have been for somebody fancier. I don't know. And then again, just like a little area to like hang out and read, and more importantly, a place to hold our funerals. I think this is where I held my very first funeral for my cat Tibbert in my medieval 100 baby challenge. It was a hot mess. But I tried my best to give Tibbert a good send-off. Again, there is, I think, 2 versions of this lot. There's one that's pack heavy and one that's pack light. I think I did like 5 packs for it for the pack light version, but that's all I'm going to promise on this lot as far as that, because I don't know that I will ever fix the rocks. But yeah, this was my first time terrain editing, and I did not know about the super swanky rock. That A, is a lot easier to work with, and B, will not, you know, makes lower end PCs explode to no. So my bad, whatever, you know, beginner nonsense, but still a very beautiful lot nonetheless. I think this part was inspired by Hagatisha's build, if not directly copied from it, because it wasn't really the focus to build something cool here. It was more to learn how to terrain edit, so I was just like, I'm going to copy their build, and then I think this is from their build, if I'm not mistaken. It's one of these buildings. I'm pretty sure it's this one. And then I, you know, kind of mimicked its style throughout and made my own build, so pretty cool, and I really love how this turned out. I think if I was to do this and edit it more, I might make this like a taller tower, but it looks pretty sick, like, you know, just in the look of this world and everything like that. So again, we have this mostly finished museum, but I still think I would rework it just because I don't really like the layout of the interior. But anywho's, go ahead and show you guys anyways. But yeah, we have, you know, statues. There's of course deco sims that come to visit. You can see statues, but you can kind of see as I navigate through here, it's kind of hard to see anything. So I imagine that I would redo some of the work. This is meant to be like a study area. Yeah, it's cute in concept, but I need to open it up more and redo the layout a little bit so that it's visually not, you know, throw up in your face. Because when I tried playing on this lot, it just didn't really work all that well. So get rid of some of the interior separation. It looks nice in pictures, sucks for gameplay. Lots of really cool statues though. Even funner is like deco sims. I tried doing like some storytelling things where, you know, there was like, maybe this is a statue of a goddess and people are making offerings to her, so she's of more significant importance. Anyways, I don't know words. Just fun stuff like bears, you know. Tried to make it look like there's employees working here. I often tend to put these elf deco sims as kind of the deco sim that runs the community space. If I did put deco sims, again, another kind of this is meant to be more like a memorial, and this is basically because, you know, oftentimes the mothers and the children die pretty early on in the Ultimate Decades Challenge. This is kind of like meant to be a memorial to them. So just a little storytelling aspect, and then, you know, you go upstairs and There's a space for children to play, skill building items. Again, the camera angles are kind of butt to show anything. I do need to rework this lot at some point and replace these chairs. I batch fixed like a chair that I put everywhere apparently. Again, some more skill building spaces and a tavern that ended up being a bit of a disappointment. So I will probably rework this upper floor entirely, just to make it more functional. But I think honestly the bottom floor is pretty good. It just needs to be opened up so that I can see, maybe delete some of these curtains, because again, they look cute in pictures, but not so great in practice. They kind of suck. And then I have no idea what I'm going to put out back here, but I did want to do something out back here. I'm going to kind of take Cosmic Hippie's idea, just because I want to play, but I don't want to make grand builds everywhere. I do want to kind of, you know, embrace the aspect of a forever save, and Cosmic Hippie has a really nice idea when it comes to doing this. So I think I'll have the Petrovas be like the nobles of this area. We'll say that like these buildings belong to the queen, who is actually Edith Goth. She's from my first Ultimate Decades challenge that corrupted, but she's the queen. She was with Alexander Goth and he passed. Anyways, doesn't matter. Just a little lore drop on her. We won't see her much. I don't have like a vision with the nobles and royals too far outside of basically we can kind of do like a build a city thing in which the taxes will go to the nobles. So we've got, you know, the Nava family over here. We've got the Birch family. I will end up moving the Candelaria family because they are also nobles. And it doesn't make sense to have two sets of nobles. But yeah, basically these Sims that are in this world will pay taxes, and that'll be how the Petrova family builds up their castle. It gives me the ability to kind of, or estate, I suppose. I don't know if castle's the right term, but yeah, that'll give me an opportunity to build, add a little bit of, you know, long-term gameplay goals, and a build a city challenge, which I quite like. Oh my gosh, why is Edith in the Birch House? This is literally royals mixed with peasants. That's so funny. I don't even want to know what happened there. There must be some neighborhood stories going on. But yeah, I'll have to go through and fix that. They're actually supposed to live over here. Oh, you know what? I think I actually moved them because I'm doing a rework of this castle. Let me go in and show you guys. But with the royalty and legacy thing that came out, we might do kind of like a royalty and legacy playthrough with them specifically, just to kind of check out the pack. I don't know if I don't know if it'll be all that interesting. I don't know how much content is genuinely in the pack. Some of the packs have been duds, especially later ones, so, you know, whatever. But this is a castle that I made. It's absolutely freaking massive. It's like one of the first massive buildings I made, like, almost 3 years ago now. Actually, I think I made this before this save started, so this is actually from the save that was lost, I believe, due to me switching PCs. Just a lot of stuff didn't come over correctly, but I still had my tray folder, so I actually think this is more than 3 years old now. And yeah, they've got a pool in here they can go swimming in. It looks pretty freaking swanky, if I do say so myself. You know, they have this nice like pathing throughout the house that makes it feel kind of garrisoned in, but can serve as like functional. I mean, there's like this hallway here, which I would have no idea what to do to decorate this except for like throw some statues and some benches in here. But yeah, you get the idea. And then I wanted to rework the layout to basically make a better throne room now that we have like official items from EA. And then also kind of like a ballroom area, because ballrooms are a big thing. So it needs a lot of space. I was thinking we could do like a mixture of throne room, ballroom, eating room. I don't know what I would put back here. Again, still going to take some working. I could even just extend this hallway here, and this could be the ballroom. This could be eating, kitchen, throne room, kind of like the waiting chambers where the guards would be and stuff. So now you can't just like walk in the front door immediately and get to the queen and her family and things like that. Just a thought process. And then this was meant to be kind of like a community space. Obviously that doesn't work as well in gameplay, but for storytelling purposes it does work great. And then I'm not sure what happened to my stairs on the side of the building here. Maybe it's not a part of this build, or I don't know if I decided to change the layout of it, but I used to have stairs over here. And this was meant to be more like servants' quarters. At the time I made this, I was kind of using lazy Neefs. I think it's Neefs. Royalty mod, but I ended up not really using it that much because, again, I don't really enjoy royalty and nobles. So I kind of deleted it because it's a big mod. But this was kind of servants' quarters. And then upstairs, I had like a lot of living space. I think I had it basically so that the stairs were coming up here, and then there was like a bedroom here. There was like a study / bedroom here that was kind of for like the queen. And then I had stairs going upstairs. There was like a bathroom over here. There's like it was so cute nursery here. Oh man, I'm so sad that I lost that, you guys. That build was amazing. And it was CC free too. I was going to share it. I don't know that I would make it CC free now. I don't know that I would go through that process again. But yeah, basically there was just a lot of cool stuff. And then I think there was like a hallway here to kind of make a walkway. Because you can go through here. I don't know what I would do with these little corners. These little corners were something I was struggling a lot with when it came to ideas. And then again, I kind of had this vision of making this kind of like a prison with the royalty mod by Lazy Neef. So that was kind of the concept of this tower over here. Is that it was supposed to be a prison. Because I didn't like I tried going down to make a dungeon, and I didn't like that because you could see the pool, and I was like, that's ugly. I don't want to see that. That ruins my life. So my thought process was then, okay, we're gonna go up. So that's kind of where this came I can't talk. That's kind of where this all came from. I think honestly, as cute as all of this is, I might make this like non-functional for the back end and just make it so that Sims go through here to get up. I'll still leave the doors and stuff, but what I might do is make this like a bedroom. A bedroom of sorts. But yeah, just so that the layout's a little bit easier over here, because I do remember this hallway being very wonky and just like bizarre. It made no sense structurally, and I was trying to incorporate spaces I don't really intend to use for anything. So maybe what I would do is just get rid of this door here. And maybe make it so that like stairs come over here and people can like walk this way, but not from this way. And then, I would have less to do with this space. This could even just be more towers that people are imprisoned in or whatever. I don't know. You get the idea. A very big build that is going to be a lot of work. I can't 100% say this is on the gallery, but I'm pretty sure this is also on the gallery if you were interested. Ignore the holiday house lights that my Sims have decided to put up on their own. But again, this is a family from, I believe, my first Ultimate Decades attempt that got corrupted. And basically, this was my heir for Gen 2? I don't remember. But yeah, he's the heir, and he actually ended up marrying Cassandra Goth, so this is Cassandra Goth in my save. I don't have a lot of the Sims that come with the game, but I do have quite a soft spot for Cassandra, so she's like the only townie outside of like the ones the game generates, like Agatha and Agnes, that are in my medieval save. But yeah, this build is on the gallery. I do believe it's just a shell, but I don't know that I'll ever get around to creating it further, but I did want to rework this family and then have them kind of do like a lot of the horse stuff. Great description, I know, right? But this lot is massive, right? And a lot of the horse stuff, to basically get a really good horse, means you have to breed them, which means you have to have space for not just 1 or 2, but 3 to 4 horses at a time, perhaps. And this lot just has a ton of space where I can accommodate those horses. I may make this more of like a community space again with nobles. They would host more gatherings. So I think the bottom floor is pretty much good, but I would rework it so that the bedroom isn't like this. Also, the bedroom is stupid. So this is like a really old build, like at least 4 or 5 years old. So this would need to be reworked. And then I would probably make this more the family home. Again, there's bedrooms over here. It makes so much more sense. Even a nursery down here, and I'm not sure like where I got lost in the sauce and decided to do all that nonsense on the top floor, but there's this. Oh, I think you know what it was. It's residential rentals. I think that's why I changed the lot to look like this. Because I think originally this was the main house, if I'm not mistaken. And then I reworked it to be residential because Finn here was about to be able to marry in my ultimate decades before it corrupted. I lost a lot of the children too, which is sad. This was actually quite a large household, which is why there's so many beds. Sore spot for me emotionally. Well, yeah, lots of space on this lot. I have, the ability to make, nectars, which I think would be nice for gifting. I don't think I would. I don't know that I really want to make a business out of that. Maybe we could though, because like I said, we said we were going to make this like a community space. Maybe that could be like them, hosting nobles, and we can make it for rich sims too, because you can set it by wealth, and then we can just sell like the nectars and whatnot, because they have to be able to pay for this massive lot. And I do remember the bills being quite a bit over here. Again, a bathroom. I would probably rework some of this. Oh my goodness, sorry for the camera angles. I'd probably rework some of this, but I do like the idea of them actually having a bathroom. The richer sims, like nobility and royalty, having their own bathroom makes sense, but in peasant households, I really avoided it. I also deleted the archery mod. I think I had a bunch of archery stuff over here, but I have the adventure awaits stuff, so I would just put that there. Maybe we could do some sparring over here instead of like an animal, because again, I don't want the animals on all the lots. Not really fun gameplay wise. But yeah, this lot is on the gallery as far as shells go. I doubt I made a furnished version of it because I'm not doing all that, but especially CC free. I'm not linking it, and I'm not making a CC free version that I wouldn't use myself. So, womp womp is what it is. Also, can we talk about how stupid it is that the front of the lot is over here? Like, literally the front of the lot. Because, like, this is all the area your sim can, like, walk around, right? So, like, why the heck is that over there, all the way over there, the front of the lot, and not this? And I tried switching it around, but then the sims would load in stupidly and, like, walk around forever. It was so dumb. And just, I hated it. It makes more sense for a lot like this, but I just, it drives me insane. I also have this, it's been reworked a little bit because I didn't like some of the wonkiness that was going on with this build. Again, ignore the holiday stuff that's up, but this build is actually on the gallery. I think I moved this pond over here basically and shifted the house over because there was just like some wonkiness going on. And I wanted to make this more of like an inn in my actual gameplay. All right, now we're in this household. I'm not really sure why I decided to show you guys from that viewpoint, but I did, so there's that. But I have Yuna here again. She is from my ultimate decades that got corrupted. She did have a family, but I deleted them because I just like wasn't really that interested in them. I don't want to do family gameplay for everybody. It is what it is. But I will end up reworking this lot. I tried making this a tavern when I made the lot. It didn't really end up working. My idea was that it was kind of like a tavern / inn, and I still think we could do the inn, but I would rework it. I do have the shell of this lot that's been reworked, reformatted, available, I believe. But I don't think there's a furnished version. But upstairs is really where you're like, what the heck was going on here? Like, why is there 1 watt tile walkway and like what? So I would definitely rework this build. Like literally just looking at this, what makes a lot more sense here is doing like at least like a little kitchenette, dining, living, and then making this one room, right? And then you could have like the parents' bed here. And then you could have like the children's bed, because this family had a lot of children. It had like 5 toddlers at the same time at one point because she had like triplets and then twins like back to back. Anyways, you get the idea, but I don't know why I made it like this. It was really dumb on my part, but I'll probably make this like a fully functional home. And I think Yuna will end up having a little bit more of the lady of the night aspect in a very PG way. As PG as Lady of the Night can be anyways. And because of Risky Woohoo, I imagine that she will get Pregnant. I don't know that I will do the dice rolls for births too. And deaths, that's another thing that I might end up changing, is I kind of like story-based gameplay more, in which I might make like story-based events. So like for something like this, maybe, you know, bandits raided the inn or whatever, and you know, then I do death rolls, but just doing it every time they age up or give birth is kind of boring after like a year or so. And if I'm doing rotational play and I'm going through each year in each household, that's gonna get old fast. So I would rather do storytelling death rolls that are, you know, more interesting for me, get my creative side flowing more, because that'll make me a lot more engaged over time when it comes to making this. I'm curious if I have the shell that I was talking about in the gallery so I can show you guys. Let me see. No, it doesn't look like I do. I know you can't really see anything. My reshade is like exploding in all of our faces right now. If I do have it, it's probably on my build save with no CC is probably what ended up happening. So I probably didn't finish the shell and I would just need to go look. But yeah, I'm not going to do that right now because that requires switching like files around and, you know, reloading the game and all that nonsense just to look at that. And I don't care to do that right now, but you get the idea of what this lot is kind of meant to be. And I think I'll make it kind of like an N and, you know, show off her like a little extra nighttime fun. I don't know that I would do a tavern just because like she would need to sit there, but I think more just like Sims could come here at night. She can open the business. They could potentially sleep and all of that stuff. Maybe she'll offer food. I don't know. I think mostly what she's going to offer is her nighttime companionship. And then she has a really cute dog. If any of you were wondering where I get my animals, I get pretty much all of my animals from Pug Owned. I think like one or two I've bred in-game, but I find the ones that the game makes to be kind of ugly. And I don't have the skill set to paint the animal to look really good like this. But Pug Owned has made like a gajillion animals, and they look really good. Like you can just see all this paint detail that they did to make it look fluffy and full. And normally in Sims 4 it look pretty flat. So, you know, I like their animals. I highly recommend you just use those if you're not gonna paint them yourselves. They're awesome. So the gym here is a little bit of a rework in progress. Basically, I didn't have the Adventure Awaits pack. Now I do. Also have the Royalty and Legacy pack, so I'll end up reworking that. But also we played with this in my 100 baby challenge, and literally all the Sims were in this room. So there's like 10-15 Sims just sardined into this room. I will end up deleting this kind of tavern that I did. A, because it was kind of boring and a lot of Sims weren't using it, but B, also some of the workout equipment needs to be spread out. I would also like to get like an actual bathroom in this lot because I regretted not doing that once we started doing like some gameplay in here. So maybe I'll have some stairs going down and we can have a bathroom. I could potentially also, I don't know, make this like a sparring room, and then we can do like a little build out here. It really just depends on how difficult everything is in layout perspective because the build is mostly done. I just need to shoehorn different ideas around until they fit. But yeah, I wanted to incorporate the archery, and I wanted to incorporate the dueling that came with the 2 new packs and kind of have that. And then again, eventually I'll make an inspiration post type of deal for my blog. But since I haven't done that yet, this here is a paywalled CC. Can we see who it's by? And normally you'd be like, oh no, it's paywalled. Oh, and they don't put their name on anything. Fantastic. Whatever. I'll edit it in myself later on the screen. But yeah, it's paywalled. You don't have to pay for it. There's other places you can go ahead and get it. You can find out that kind of information on my blog if you go to the paywalled tab of my master list that I will show you guys later. Again, just some more equipment. I believe, who is this by? Historical Sims Life. Yeah, so they just converted, I believe, these dummies, and they work as the punching bags, but this is basically what the Sims Medieval used for basically the dueling dummies. It's basically the same concept that EA has copy-pasted here. Is the dueling that you do with these dummies here is what you did with the Sims Medieval one, but Historical Sims Life made them the punching bag because that's what existed at the time when they converted it. And then this is actually from the Sims 3 World Adventures. It's the Shanghai training dummy, and it works with Strangerville's stuff. So that like robot that you like karate chop all the time. So very cool if you were wanting workout equipment. Outside of that, I just use like the spa day meditation stuff in like a woodish looking color. It doesn't really bother me if it's not perfect, and 110% accurate. Like I said, actually I don't know if I said it to you guys. I know I've said it before, but I don't know if I've said it at all in this video. I do more of like a medieval fantasy vibe. Because obviously I've been building this safe for 3 years, and this is what I have to show for it. Which, like, not to say that it's not a lot, but like if I was to change like every build to match historically accurate, that would be awful. I would not want to play. Basically, when I designed all of this, it was like, okay, I need this to look good for like the next, couple hundred years, instead of fixing it all the time and whatnot. So yeah, I also realized I should probably show you guys this house in particular because I have a CC free version as well as a shell. I actually really liked how the CC free version turned out. It's very pack heavy, of course, but I actually like it better than the CC version that I did. I will eventually rework this lot, but it's not important to me today. But this lot is available. It kind of follows the same concept here as like kitchen, dining, living, and then there's like a bedroom, and then you go up and nursery, toddlers, master, bedroom. And then honestly, I don't remember what was in this room. I think I may have made it a bathroom as well. But there was actually stairs leading up, and then there was like a hobbies room. You can look on the gallery and grab that build if you want. But yeah, at the time I made it CC free, and then, now eventually I'll rework it and kind of follow the same concept but with CC. Just because I prefer playing with CC. But, if you wanted to grab this build and delete everything that I put in it and just have the shell or rework the landscaping, you really don't have to delete everything. I think I did upload a shell as well, but I will say this landscaping is meh. It's very chaotic. It was a style of landscaping that I really liked at one point, and yeah, it is what it is. It is how it exists, but there is a shell that you can grab. I made the exterior completely CC free. I know you're seeing some CC like windows and doors, but it's all CC free, though I can't promise that it's not pack heavy in either version. So, womp womp. Alrighty, and then we have the pool. I really wanted a pool lot because, pools. I like when my Sims can go swimming, okay? But it's not really immersion safe most of the time, so this was kind of the bayou that I made in order to hide a pool. So we've got the tavern. Again, it suffers from the fate of being a very large lot in Sims 4 being kind of stupid in how it handles sim autonomy on a large lot, especially with Sims you're not playing. So hit or miss on that, but your Sims that you're actually playing with can do a ton here. There's so much space for them. They can take care of their needs and things like that. So I don't think I have this lot on the gallery too, so I'm not sure why I'm saying like your Sims. I think I can put it on the gallery. I do think it's almost entirely CC free if I'm looking around. I think it can be on the gallery, but if I'm not mistaken, it's not yet. So, and like I said, my game's not up to date like ever, so you cannot yet at this time, but someday it'll be on the gallery because I do believe everything is CC free from what I can tell, minus like maybe a few overrides that are showing up. But yeah, and then we have like a wedding hall. I wanted somewhere for my Sims to get married that felt fancy, so wedding hall. Sims can have weddings out here. There's a place for them to eat. Place for them to grill, and then the pool. So this was how I managed the pool and kind of hid the pool, is I just put it in the back of the lot, and by the time you get over here and you see everything else around, it's not that immersion breaking. So, pretty cool. And then, you have got like a spa, you've got skill building items. I think I used like this old typewriter, but I have like a different computer CC that I use that just looks like a book. But again, I was trying to make the CC free so people could use it. So maybe you don't like all the CC or all the item choices I used, but you can delete them and add your own CC or whatever. I don't really care. But yeah, I used what I could to make it functional in the concept of maybe you're a console player. Because I bet even just doing like some cabinets like this is a nightmare. I don't know how anybody builds on the console, but I do know it is rough. From what I've read online. And then, you know, just like a little logic building. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Logic building spot. I wanted to include some business and hobbies stuff up here. So like the lectures and, you know, pottery and stuff like that. I think I had 2 Sims that were in my 100 baby challenge at the time that had to do a lot of stuff with the lectures because that's kind of what's in this lot. But yeah, you get the idea. Oh, and then I have this little gazebo over the water too. It's not really interesting, but you know, it is pretty. But yeah, I really like how this bayou turned out. I think it's completely done now. I would just have to go through and double check that the CC is not there. And then when you're actually playing the business and hobbies board, I need to show you because I don't know what to call it, but this like line here, it doesn't show up. So, you know, you won't have this ugly line, but that's just showing you like the area of effect, which is kind of funny because you could be giving a lecture over here and then it fits into this room over here. So the sim could be sitting over here. But I did what I could with the space that I had and the vibe that I wanted to give it and tried to make it look as medieval-y as I could with items that were in the game. That's always a nightmare, as I'm sure many of you are aware, but I think I did pretty decent. I was, you know, learning to do complicated landscaping with water specifically. Water was really difficult for me, but I at least learned about the big rock. So, you know, we have that. It won't blow up your computer in the sense that I put 10,000 rocks on the floor. And last but not least, we have the Burris household that I really want to show you guys. So this family here was meant to be the founders of my Ultimate Decade save, and they'll probably be the ones that we start with first. Of course, you know, we're aiming more for rotational gameplay at this point now that I have so many families that I love. And, you know, I simply cannot just play a few of them now. I need to play, like, as many of them as humanly possible for me. But yeah, this is the family in the house that ended up kind of setting the vibe of everything that I wanted, because I just thought it was so beautiful to have, like, all this clutter everywhere, all this decor, you know, just a big family space. And then, you know, little nooks and crannies, like we have Isabella's embroidery work. She does a lot of embroidery, so you know she'll be doing a lot of the knitting. I think I'll have her get along really well with Orla and Isla as well from another family who do a lot of like I don't want to say sewing, but they're going to be doing a lot of like loom work and things like that. So you know, just create connections like that in the world. And then also I learned how to make a CC portraits. So if you didn't know, the paintings in the game kind of suffer from the same thing that the photos in game suffer from, is that they can turn like into a white void. So I decided to just go with CC portraits if I was going to take the time to pose my Sims and make them all adorable. I unfortunately picked one that seems to have glass over it, so I'll need to fix that, but still really, really cute nonetheless. And then Burris here is going to more or less be the Gen 1 sim. I am a little bit unsure of how I'm going to handle the dice rolls, because usually you would roll right away for the Gen 0 sims. However, I don't really like the dice rolls right at the start of the game, and I don't like doing them when sims age up. It's just not really fun to me, and I think there's better ways to incorporate storytelling, especially for the dice rolls. So I will definitely switch to kind of a more story-based dice roll system. I think I'll still keep the birth ones, because, you know, that's just such a big life event that happens, and it did have a pretty high mortality rate. But anyways, back onto our founding sim. We have Aldous Burris, and basically because he's super into mead making, he's the one who got the family invited by the queen, which is how they ended up with this house. And they're actually going to have a Sim City loan on top of this house, so whatever this house ended up costing in the end, that's what they're going to owe, and they're not going to have any money because they just immigrated here, right? And then Bastion here, who has put himself to bed. What a cutie patootie. It's actually going to be the one that's got a little bit more of the business sense out of the brothers. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think we can start small with like maybe a yard sale, and then eventually when we can work our way up to it, maybe we can buy like a little store or a retail lot or something like that. But I don't think I will do like a small home business on this lot, because if you look at it, I've really just gone ahead and filled up every little nook and cranny. Just, every spot that could need something has something. Panosama has a mod that lets the toddlers sleep on the big beds. It can only be one toddler at a time, but it is so adorable and it works so well. I decided to keep one toddler bed, but the toddlers can nap on like the couches and stuff too. I don't mind that. That doesn't bother me in the slightest. Lots of things that we're going to be doing. Again, I do believe that this family is mostly going to be off the grid. I'll have to change their toilet situation because they have the outhouse that, yeah, they have the outhouse. It's a little bit funny because I haven't even like touched the surface of what's in this safe, but the showcase is already so long. So I think I'm going to go ahead and stop showing you like actual families, and we'll go ahead and get into some behind the scenes stuff here. Beautiful. I just wanted to make sure he could use it. Didn't realize he was going to use it like that. Well, okay. Anyways, so behind the scenes stuff, basically I had to learn how to use Notion. There was a lot of ideas I went through when it came to organization and trying to share stuff with you, but the journal that I wanted to do was like on Canva. The master list I had was on Tumblr. I have more than one master list because I play Sims 2, 3, and 4, but I have a modern and a medieval master list for Sims 4. And then I was giving live updates on like YouTube posts. So Notion here has allowed me to consolidate all of that into one place, but the downside of that is I had to learn how to use it, and I actually just barely figured out how to get the databases to work. This was a huge high effort project, and I had a spell of insomnia, as you can see from reading this, and I spent a lot of time working on this and whatnot. So anyways, I have rules, frequently asked. Eventually I'll have a Discord. The medieval community in The Sims 4 is a bunch of chatty Cathys, so I wanted us to be able to chit chat and hang out in a space that supports that, because YouTube and TikTok and all of those things that I use don't really support that chit chat nature of our community. And I want to be able to like hang out with you guys. I want to, be able to, update you guys instead of trying to update you across, 3 platforms. Basically, I'll have the blog and the Discord, and that's a lot more manageable for me as the creator. Probably a lot more manageable for you as the audience. You don't have to look in 10,000 places. I don't care how much I like the creator. I would not, go look 10,000 places. Really needed to figure that out. Took a lot of trial and error to figure out which site would work for what I wanted. The master list here is the start of how we're eventually going to be able to begin our Ultimate Decades Challenge. So basically the way that I display all of this information for you is, if we go into the Curious Minds here, is databases. Databases, and then I copy the database to make a really visually pretty and, more importantly, automated information source. If you wanted to know more of like the behind the scenes, Red Gregory here is literally the person who taught me this, and they explain it so brilliantly because I was somebody with like no technical knowledge of what the heck they were talking about, and they explained it to me, and it was actually pretty easy, to the point that I was able to adapt it further after like a couple of attempts. But yeah, I have my Sims 4 mods list. The mods list was actually pretty easy. It was the CC that was a nightmare to figure out. Because basically exactly what Red Gregory had taught me worked really well for the mods. But then, CC is a lot more complex, and then you add in that I had a medieval and a modern thing. So, it took a lot of effort, but I finally got it working, and I actually wanted to go ahead and show you guys some stuff in here. So I have it by category, right? So build, and then, you go in here and there's these subcategories at the top. More importantly, though, the Sims Medieval is my favorite creator for, medieval CC, but something's wrong with their Tumblr theme, and they're inactive, and it basically makes it so you can't find their CC easily. I've gone ahead and linked it all, and now you can, oops, sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing, but now you can easily get to the posts where the CC is. I started with their site first. It took me forever I literally spent so long. Yeah, I found all of their stuff. I even found some stuff that I did not have in my game, and it was very cool. And I actually found something entirely new to me. Do I have it in here? Okay, I finished that. I had to fix some issues. I didn't add the outdoors category. But basically, I found this Japanese build set on their other blog. This is literally how in-depth I had to go as I was going through like different blogs through like 1,000 different tags and literally scrolling through the whole thing to see if I could find anything and everything. So I spent literally like a whole day just trying to find all of their stuff. That's how annoying it is. So it is now all available. In the event that anything further goes wrong with their Tumblr, I'm just breaking their terms of use and uploading it myself. I can't be bothered. But yeah, all of their buy stuff, their clothes and whatnot are available. Even cooler is if you go into the children's category, I have fixed a conversion that somebody else made. I think I have it. I have them credited in my Patreon here. Rosie Summer? Rossi Sim? I think I spelled their name wrong. Anyways, great credit, right? Yeah, but they made this conversion, so all credit goes to them. But basically what had happened was the arm slots were broken and their arms would get like stuck to their sides. So I just fixed it. And then, you know, we chatted a little bit. They've been sick, so wish them well. Some things are kind of high effort even for what I have. So they're kind of like a process and they will eventually be done, but they're not very high on my priority list. And you can also see the mods that I use and all that stuff. I'll eventually work on getting some better pictures. I've already added some of my own and whatnot, but yeah, links it all there and you can see what's in my game. And that's how we're going to handle where can I find requests now, because I'm going to have such a beautiful master list and there's no reason for me to answer it. But what did I want to show you guys? Alright, I have to go back to the other view because you guys don't have access. But the whole point of me showing you all that and showing you what a complicated process it was for me to figure out was our Ultimate Decades Challenge. So I kind of started setting this up and then I realized I really didn't understand the databases well enough to do all the complicated stuff. Like, I spent like 6 hours just making simple dice, right? And that was a nightmare. Just these 3 dice. Because I had such a poor understanding of the templates, but my hope with this is that we can make a template that I can share, right? And I'll have like a step-by-step process for when you're editing in the information. I also learned from Red Gregory how to do this in a way that's easy for the person who duplicates it to follow along, so you wouldn't have to come back to like a tutorial. I'll still do a video tutorial showing you guys everything once, but you know, I want it to be so that you can input the information on your own, basically after watching the tutorial once because of a step-by-step process, and then it can show up. And I would like for like the worlds to show up here, and then you click on the worlds and you can see the households that are there, and then you can click on them. And then also the families. I want a big family page because eventually the households separate and the families separate in that case. And so I want to be able to kind of track things. Again, Red Gregory has an automated family tree system that they have, and I would just need to figure out how to implement it on a grand scale for our purposes. So massive project, and eventually we will have a really cool template that we can all use to keep track of our Decades Challenge. I've of course credited the original creators and stuff, so you can see their rules versus how I intend to play it and keep track of my information and whatnot. But yeah, oh, you can even see I've put the households down here, so this would probably go in like a cheat sheet that I would occasionally reference and pop in this where you need a dice roll, but it doesn't really make sense here. But it's just here because this is a work in progress. It's not supposed to be here. I was just fighting for my life trying to get it to work and testing it on this page. Anyways, you get the idea. This is kind of the behind the scenes, and I've probably poured like 60 hours now into the process of figuring out and testing a bunch of different sites and, management systems and things like that, and then figuring out how to use this one took me watching a lot of tutorials to find people that were actually helpful versus people that make just simple, boring planners that work more or less just the same as a calendar, which there's already a database that's like a template for. I don't know if you can hear my salty tone, but they're pretty useless tutorials and they're everywhere, especially for a program like this. That is all of my forever saved nonsense. I would eventually like to work on a lot more things. I think once I figure out how to link households, how to link them A, to the worlds, B, to a central timeline so that I can keep track of things, but C, the really hard thing, I don't think those first two things will be difficult for me, just because I've made the master list and fought for my life, and I think a lot of what I did with the CC would more or less be the same process, just, different tags. Anyways, but what's really going to be different is keeping track of time per household and then having it share up on a universal thing. And the reason I say that is because I don't always want to play a household, right? Especially when they come up in the rotation. But I may still want to keep track of that, time frame. And, they could be in a separate year. So it's going to be a complex system that A, allows me to either skip them in the sense that I don't want to play with them right now, but I want them to stay in that time frame. Or B, I want to skip them and I want to progress them in time with the other households without actually playing them. So it's two complicated concepts that I need to manage and make not annoying to manage. And then I want to have I should show you honestly, because that'll make more sense. Okay, so here we go. You know how in Morbid's spreadsheet you can see that they've added in all these things? I want to do this too, but I want to make it mostly automated. Like I want you to be able to click on, say, Simon here, and you could end up basically at the sim info and it would show you who his family is. It would show you when he was born and just automate it so that you don't have to enter in things 10,000 times. That's going to, irritate me. It did irritate me every time. And then, also the family tree thing, again, make it automated so that, when you enter in Simon's info, it does I don't know if I can get it to do the timeline for us, honestly. You might still have to do that on your own. I can at the very least link it to family, whatnot like that, and then they would have their timeline linked. I think I can link it. I think it'll just be, maybe you have to edit it through the household page. I don't have the skill set yet, and it's going to require me to just kind of bang my head against the keyboard until I figure it out. That's kind of how the entire process has worked, but you get the idea. You get what I'm trying to tell you. I just don't have the skill set yet to connect all the ideas and thoughts and processes. But another thing that you can do is you can make event timelines, and that's something that Red Gregory again teaches when they talk about their family tree, is they wanted to link events by time. So we could set it up by year, and then I would just need to figure out how to make all of the family events connect by time frame on a singular page. And then if you wanted to see the events between all the worlds, or just like one world, or just the household, or a specific family line, to a certain point. I think the limitation is basically that it can go to great-grandparents, it can go to aunt and uncle and cousins, and then like siblings. And I think that's more or less the range that it's able to go to. So more or less immediate family, and then like slightly branched out a little bit, ever so slightly from immediate family. But honestly, I don't need much more than that. So you could basically, my point is, get the concept of events through time for a larger group of people, and then you could also get it for the individual. And I can do that. I just need to figure out how to do that and make it an automated process. So that I actually do have the skill set for. I just need to put in the time to link it all together, which is, going to be a lot of trial and error. But that's probably going to be the easier part. It's probably going to be the time system that I have, where I want them to have different timelines and different ways of managing the timeline while still keeping everybody more or less synced up to a central timeline, if that makes sense. I don't know that I'm explaining it well, so I hope you're getting my point. That's the one that's going to be a hard task for me. But once I have those two things finished to the best of my ability, I think we can actually start our Ultimate Decades Challenge here. So really excited about that. I've wanted to play more and more these days, but I knew that I wouldn't want to play if I couldn't track everything properly. So once I get that done, my forever save is ready to finally be played. Until then, we will continue with our medieval 100 baby challenge because I am having fun doing that. And then, we can just kind of alternate. If I don't feel like playing the Ultimate Decades, I can play the medieval 100 baby challenge. And if I don't feel like playing either of those, I've got all the other Sims games. So that's kind of how I do it, since, Sims is my hobby and so is content creation. But yeah, I am rambling at this point. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. You get the idea of basically where my forever save is at. You got some ideas for yourself, maybe, hopefully. And then you can see the behind the scenes of something that I would like to make for the community and also am in the process of making. So yeah, I think there's just so much that I do for this that isn't translated well to a YouTube series. But I thought I would share a lot of the behind the scenes. And yeah, I'm still rambling. I'm going to shut up now. Bye.